Ladies and gentlemen, friends, sisters and brothers, as the former president of the British Trade Union Centre, the Trade Union Congress, I recall our consistent solidarity actions for colleagues in trouble, in difficulties and challenges. I'm here today to say you've got friends. You've got friends who will campaign and work with you across this country and across the World Trade Union movement to bring pressure to bear on the regime. And we've gathered here today in an important juncture in time, because the issue that we're dealing with is not just the question of humanity in Iran, but the need for the world to become involved in bringing pressure to bear. Only through collective action can we put an end to this kind of issue. And I'm talking about the issue of impunity in one of the most horrific crimes carried out in this world. We meet on the 29th anniversary of the mass murder of 30,000 political prisoners in the summer of 1988. This was a crime against humanity. The overwhelming majority of these prisoners were members of PMOI, the main opposition group. Khomeini's fatwa was specifically directed at them and expanded to other political prisoners who remained defiant in the face of the regime. As you know, many of those prisoners had served their sentences, and some were rearrested under the fatwa and then executed. Friends, what I've got to emphasize is that we've not just come here to commemorate the victims, we must identify those responsible, end the impunity, including people like Rouhani's former justice minister and the former rival to Rouhani in the recent sham election, who were both members of death commissions under Khomeini's fatwa, carrying out those executions in the most medieval way. So I say today, we must remember and we must be reminded that if we're going to bear witness, we've got to ensure that our government, the government of this country, based just down the road, takes the issue of impunity seriously. This rally gives us a chance to shout that out, and the statement issued by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office is an important response, which we must publicise. The first comment made after the mass executions was that although it was a crime against humanity, it has never been dealt with. Remember, colleagues, there is no statute of limitations for crimes against humanity. The people concerned are still accountable and must be held accountable. So we call on our government and the international community to deal with these just as we dealt with the killings in Rwanda and the killings in Yugoslavia, where international commissions were established, and even though it was years later, accountability was imposed. And we must struggle for the same resolution in this case. It's horrific. In the month of July alone, this July, 101 more colleagues were hanged by the regime in Iran. And scores more have been executed in the month of August. This is the World Olympic record held by the Iranian regime. The most killings, the most hangings of any country in the world. Not a sign of civilization, a sign of cruelty, a sign of hatred for humanity. Iran executes more people per capita than anyone else. And President Rouhani, who is considered a moderate, has executed more than 1,000 people in 2015 alone, and 3,200 altogether. If we're serious, we've got to get that campaign moving. And I pledge to do all I can to support you and your supporters and your colleagues and the families in getting it resolved. I stand here in solidarity with you and with all political prisoners in Iran who've bravely demanded justice and demand that we give them support. Together we will prevail. Humanity demands no less.